our list, the fire reporting software that the fire department uses is going to no longer be supported as of this October. They're recommending a product from Emergency Networking, and the cost on that is $17,345. Chief would like to get that approved this evening. We don't want to wait till the old stuff goes bad before we get the new stuff in.
Hold, I got questions. What price did you say?
17,000.
All right, I got 10,000.
You have to go on down to the very bottom. Unless the page didn't go through, when we look.
That's the 2 mil.
Maybe not.
What?
So that was the original, my original new business page, and if you look on the first page, the initial quote is $10,095.
Okay, that's what.
And then if you go to page 2, the total is $17,345.
Okay, all right.
Chief Shewan corrected me on that, and I apologize for not getting it changed in that on that page.
The 17,000 what?
$345.
Okay. All right. Do we have a motion on?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to upgrade it to the new fire reporting software. Not to exceed $17,345.
Second.
And Mr. Addyston?
Yes.
Mr. Blanton?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Next, we're very fortunate right now that our, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
We have 4 current firefighters in paramedic school, and we believe they are all going to be eligible for a scholarship that will cover the cost of that tuition. However, we're still in the process of vetting that, and we don't have that scholarship awarded, and the folks started class yesterday, Chief? Tuesday. And just on the outside chance that scholarship doesn't cover the full cost, I just would like to have the board approve that we will cover any additional costs not covered by the scholarship or the entire thing under our normal tuition program for them, just to be sure that we're covered.
Yeah, I think we had a conversation on this, 2 meetings ago. I know the chief met with, like, Quarter Trade Scholarship. We're not quite there yet, but, I think it's gonna help the township cost, no matter what it is, so.
Yeah.
I would, yeah, it was all gonna be, the part of this will all be about the township anyway. Scholarships just not gonna get that cost. I'll make a motion for the approval of that tuition reimbursement for that scholarship is not covered.
Okay.
Can I ask a question or two? Do we have a ballpark idea of what would be the maximum that we would be on the hook for, just in general?
Do you know what the actual tuition
So
cost
I think what was initially proposed for $10,000 for each student that goes to medical school. We have 4 going through it right now. So right now the max would be right around that $40,000 mark. The goal is with the scholarship to significantly reduce that, and then we would be on the floor. But I don't know that number yet because we haven't shoot out to that point. But max would be $40,000.
And I know in years past, there was a lot of discussions, I don't need to get in them, but everybody feels confident in the selection process of who's selected to go through that, because I know in years past, there was a lot of debate on, what criteria, and I don't even know it, but everybody feels good, and we're not gonna
So
have somebody
all of
come
them
and
were
raise it.
vetted before I got here, but I signed off on them after I spoke to them all individually anyways, and I agreed with that. And they'll also sign a contract with the township saying that when they successfully pass the program, they have to stay for 5 years, and anything, if they leave before that, it's prorated. Not if they-
That was my third question, so
Yeah,
do we wanna invest in our people, but we want to invest in people that want to stay here and be a part of our department going forward, so, great. No, that's perfect, thank you for those, that's what I was concerned about, so I'm sorry, did you make a motion?
Yes, I did.
Okay, I'll second.
Right. Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Mr. Blanton?
Yes.
Mr. Borat?
Yes.
Next on our agenda, the approval of part-time pay adjustment as recommended by the chief. You have that in your folder.
Is that under the fire department?
It's under old business.
I don't see anything under old business.
That's right after the emergency networking proposal. It looks like this. Mike, I think you did. So any questions or?
Yeah, good. Yeah, I didn't hear what you said, so
Oh, just, the proposal for the pay adjustment for part-time firefighters.
okay.
You can see them on the website here.
Our current, what you have is a list of neighboring departments. And then, what our current scale is for a medic, our current part-time rate is $19.17. And basic EMT is $17.67. And the proposed new rate is, for a medic is $24 and basic, EMT, $20 an hour. So it certainly doesn't make us, the top pay in the area, but it makes us a little more competitive.
It makes us real competitive from these other departments unless they're getting an increase also, so. All right, any questions, any discussion?
I'm so sorry.
Just move on to what you know, what's new business. I was having the same thing. We need bookmarks in this thing.
I can work on that.
Here we go.
I can really piece.
I also have some suggestions on how to thin this thing down because it's getting really big. You may have noticed the chief thinned down his and got the same information in 2 pages. It used to take us, 10.
All right, do you have any discussion?
Chief, all here too is to try to get the motion passed.
So, that's the goal here, and I did speak with Ms. Hunter about the numbers just to make sure we could financially support that as well, and she was on board with all of that as well too, so. The goal is to recruit some, part-time medics that are full-time in other departments that bring that experience with them, and do that, I think, would be experience with. I know a couple already that have a little bit more.
Okay. Do you have anything else?
I guess, does this impact the outlook and expectations for full-time at all? Or we feel good that this will fit in line with? I mean, it's already announced that we're still in negotiations, with the union.
So this was all initially having to deal with the negotiation and that kind of
Sure.
stuff. But I don't know how long the negotiations are gonna
Sure.
continue. What I do know is that we are working our folks to death, and if we can get this approved and I can get some folks hired to kind of offset those other things, I think that would be beneficial. I don't know if this has any direct impact on the contract itself.
I just didn't know
I
if there
understand
would
where
be-
you're coming from, I do.
Okay. And you feel good and confident that it's not gonna hamper us at all? nothing that, it's not gonna change expectations as far as full-time.
Yeah, no.
I would say, the one thing the chief and I have talked about, and he's correct, we're working a lot of these guys, a lot of hours. And by being able to bring in more part-timers, we'll be able to fill some of those shifts, so we'll be able to reduce overtime and things. So, this should actually help the bottom line. Cindy and I talked about that, and I know you can only have people work 70 hours per hour. And,
Yeah, and I'm good with it. Ms. Osier's good with it. Recommendation from you, correct recommendation from the chief. So I say we move forward with it.
Yep, I'll make a motion to accept that part-time.
All right.
Well, second.
and Mr. Addison,
Yes.
Mr. Blaine,
Yes.
and Mr. Borat.
Yes.
So, next item, and this will be one for discussion, the Finance Committee, Ms. Oser, Chief Schuman and I have all met and talked about what we need in the way of funding to run this department. And the recommendation has been that we renew the existing 3.5 mil levy, it's a 5-year levy, and ask for an additional 3 mils with that. So you have the option of putting the renewal on as a separate levy and 3 additional mills as a separate levy, or doing a renewal in addition. Next thing we'll be discussing is what we need to do on the sheriff's contract, and that will require a renewal. So I guess we can have 2 renewals and a new, or a renewal and addition and a renewal. So it's 3 levies or 2, or however you gentlemen decide. My recommendation has always been, let's narrow the choices down so that they don't pick one of the 3 and go, well, I already need the lowest one, and that's all I'm gonna do. So I would recommend that we get a committee together on these and get the information out. But my recommendation is always to do the renewal and additional as one levy. So, but that's Jim. So.
Okay, any discussion?
Unless, yeah, so this will take us through, so if we do the one renewal and addition, that will take us through what year?
That will, the total that would bring in, for the township, the renewal will bring in $918,290. The 3 mills additional will bring in $1,023,000. So our total with the continuous levy that we have on brings us in $2,799,850. We also are asking that you request the villages to increase their contracts by 2 additional mills. So if we would do that, right now, the village of Addyston is paying $40,104 a year. 2 new mills in Addyston would be $33,000, so they would be bringing in $73,104. Village of Cleves currently pays $252,394. 2 mills in Cleves is $159,400 for a total of $411,794. Village of North Bend currently pays $189,135. 2 mills in North Bend will bring in $97,990, and for a total of $287,125. So the village contribution for their contracts would be $772,023. Of the total, the township would be paying 78%, and the villages would be paying 22%. And in essence, what this does is it will cover a little more than our salaries projection for 2025, which will allow us not to have to ask for any additions to the general fund levy at this time. By 2027, our salaries will be at $3,088,500. So we're gonna be approaching probably 2028. We're gonna max out, we'll be able to cover the salaries. Benefits and things by then will have to be covered out of the general fund. Equipment is predominantly covered out of the TIP fund. So, you know, it's, it'll get us through probably 5 years and we'll have to regroup.
And my understanding is the process is that we're asking tonight for the auditor to essentially give us an assessment on how, and make sure that this is
Yes.
accurate as far as what we would be getting in, but that if we wanted to make any adjustments, we still have the ability to do that.
Yes, we have an
After we get
estimate from the
clarity
auditor.
from the auditor.
We have an estimate from them on what the villages and what we would bring in.
Sure.
But this is just it's a resolution of necessity. So we would be asking the auditor to give us the actual numbers that would go on the ballot. So we get that, then we ask them to prep that for the ballot, and then we take that to the Board of Elections and do that. So if we get these numbers back and we find something changes or we don't like the numbers, we can still ask for more or less. We just have to go through this process again of getting the auditor to give it to us. Technically, the auditor is supposed to get us that back in 10 days. This time of year, it's easy for them to do that, even with the changeover down there. But as we get closer to the election, that 10-day period gets really tight. So we're trying to get all this paperwork in early, so we're not hung out, not getting our information, so we can get it to the Board of Elections.
So we need to ask for approval of this resolution that's in front of us
Correct.
for that to happen, correct?
Correct.
All right. Now, with that being said, are you done? Because I have questions.
Go ahead. I mean, I don't have more questions.
So, this recommendation that we're asking for, which is a recommendation right now, from the Finance Committee, Fiscal Officer, and you yourself, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right, that's all I have. Ms. Moore, do you have anything?
Yeah, I mean, we talked with the members several times, so.
I know you've been working hard on it. I know Jim's been working hard on it, and Cindy and the Finance Committee's been working hard on it.
And the chief has been
And the chief too.
very, very helpful. He's been a blessing to have.
Do you have any
Well,
questions before I open it up?
Well, just when, the last meeting, Mr. Moreline brought up some good concerns, and I think that when you initially hear these numbers, it does kind of give you a pause, reason to pause, but, ultimately, we're trying to rebuild our fire department and make it what we all know it can be and should be, and, so I think it's incumbent upon all of us and the citizens, the committee, or whatever else to help educate folks. So we're just starting this process, and we've got a long road, but, you know, I mean, I had the reaction, I think a lot of others have the same reaction when they hear that number. You kind of, stop for a second, but, we have to let people know that this is for the safety of our residents, this is for the safety of our firefighters, and, so we have our work cut out for us, I'll just say. But,
So the cost per 100,000 is
$105.
$105 per 100,000. So the owner of a $300,000 home would be looking at $315 annually as an increase. So
So this breaks down to less than $30 a month, correct?
yeah, basically.
Less than $30 a month.
So and just now, I was giving you salary only numbers for employees. Salary and benefits numbers for 2025 hit $4,372,000. So by the time we make our contribution to the retirement system, insurance, everything, you know, it costs a lot of money to get good people, but it doesn't cost that much less to not get good people. So I think our goal here is to, you know, get the best quality people we can, and, get the best equipment. We're, again, blessed because we have the TIF fund to buy equipment with.
Any, Mr. Burkholz?
Yeah, I just have a question. How much conversation has taken place with the villages about what you are going to make your decision tonight? I realize it's expensive for fire protection, but it is going to impact people. We're all part of Miami Township, so that's right. But at the same time, you gotta have time within the village. And when I take a look at the amount of money that is going to hit Cleves, when we have had 3 failed levies, I would like you to consider the fact that there probably needed to be more discussion involving the villages, not just the village of Cleves, but also Addyston and North Bend. So I'm asking what type of dialogue actually is taking place.
So I've had, excuse me, had conversations with Doug Sammons and Margie down at North Bend. They wanted to know because they have an early meeting this month, Lisa Mears knows the number, and I told them that we would be finalizing that this evening. So tomorrow I'll be getting them out, yes, this is what we're gonna ask for. And what Mr. Burkholz says is true. The last time we did this, 5 years ago, it was very difficult because the township came to the villages at the last minute. They had to hold special meetings to get everything in time for the Board of Elections. This time we're ahead of the game on that, so there's plenty of time for them to talk about it and get with their residents and let them know what the requests are. Last time, Chief Ober and Jack Reininger came to Cleves. They didn't know what the levy amount was. So we've done some homework and done some things on that. They just came in and said, I was working as a fiscal officer there at that time, and said, we need whatever the millage was, 3 or 3.5. And you guys gotta do that. Started working the date backwards with the administrator, and it's like, we needed to start last month to do that. So that's why we're trying to do this early this time, so that we don't put an undue burden on them.
I'm not sure you answered my question.
So,
I heard an answer, but I'm not sure I got what I thought I might hear. Because my answer would be, there may have been a notification of 2 mills, but there was no discussion between the village of Cleves and Miami Township as to whether or not the village of Cleves is going to be able to absorb that type of an increase. I don't know where North Bend is, I don't know where Addyston is, but it would seem to me at some point in time when you're taking a look at the numbers you're talking about, there should have been some discussion prior to ever coming up with these figures. And I'm just saying there ought to be a little bit more communication.
so I think you might be correct on that, but I had to have a number from these gentlemen before I could come to you and talk to you about the
And
number.
so if we go back, for example, into our council and say, sorry, we're not going to go with that, we're gonna be looking for other services. And I'm not saying we could find them, I'm not even saying we're going to do that. To me, you've sort of got the cart before the horse.
So, well, I know that, the last time this came up, the village of Cleves did look at other services, and,
It's sort of a take it or leave it. I'm just telling you how I see it and how I hear it.
I don't think that's the case, Mr. Burkholz. I don't think it's the case. Now, our lack of communication might be on our part, and that's probably our fault. But I think it's all correctable. We're talking about the 3rd week in May right now, 2024. So I think we can still correct this with the villages and meet with them and go to the meetings and advise them what we're doing tonight, like right away, right? We can do
that's
that.
the plan, yes.
Okay.
So, and then, if you feel like that's something you can't do.
What I'm saying is that we have a finance committee too. And one of the things in our village last year, we had a 7.0 mil levy go on the ballot that failed. And just for example, today when I went out on Walmsley Avenue, that project alone is $1 million project if we were going to do any work at all on that village. We do not have the amount of TIF funds that you have. So everything we're looking at is based on our general fund. And I guess from a standpoint of negotiations, I've been through negotiations for years as a school superintendent. I understand you've got costs, you're trying to project the costs. You're saying that's a fair amount for the village. I'm not saying it's not, but right now you're making a determination of the amount you're going for, okay, which I think is appropriate. I would have suggested maybe a meeting with the villages prior to ever setting these numbers. And because we're not part of those negotiations. And that to me would have been a more appropriate way of addressing it. There may be time, these may be the final numbers. If they're the final numbers, the village of Cleves may still not have the ability to do what you're asking. So that may cause talks of dissolution and absorption into Miami Township. We are struggling to maintain our village, which I think is in the best interest of Miami Township. All I'm saying is it would have been nice to have some thorough discussion, understanding what the costs are, and being involved in that process at the start, not at the end.
I'm still at the, I'm not sure how I do that until I get these numbers and go.
I would say if you are projecting the numbers that you need, then you gotta take whatever the numbers you think are, and you have those discussions prior to here. We have not had any discussions. Okay, so I gotta go back and I'm gonna have to take a look, whatever you guys hand us, okay, whatever it is that figure is, I gotta go back and say, can we afford this in our general fund? All right, if you're taking a look at the numbers you're talking about for the village of Cleves, if I'm using your numbers, I think that's $411,794. I can't give you an exact dollar percentage, but that is a tremendous, especially when we had a renewal levy that failed 3 years ago, where we lost $322,000 out of our budget. I'm just saying there's a reality here to our budget too. And I realize we can't exist without fire protection as a village any more than we can exist if we don't have police protection. So all I'm saying is if we're gonna be working on this stuff together, which is what I would hope we're doing, it would have been nice to hear some of these numbers prior to tonight.
Well, all I can say is that I didn't have the numbers to bring to you. This has been a work in progress since I've got here. So I didn't have the expense numbers. We still don't have the exact employee costs because we were hoping to have that union contract approved. So we're
I
doing this
understand.
on our best estimate.
I'm just asking you to consider this, because this will not be the last round of negotiations. You're talking about 5 years out in the future, you're gonna be coming back for more. All of that impacts. And honestly, I've tried to get our residents and my council to understand that everything Miami Township does has an impact on our budget, okay? And I'm trying to get them to look at this as a regional thing, but I also got to get my citizens to look at it that way. And the education part of it, when you've had 3 straight levies fail, may be very difficult.
So I understand.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, anything else from the board? All right. Do you want to do this resolution or do you want to do it now?
Well, I think we decided that we're going additional as one levy.
Do we have to determine that right now? If
Yeah,
we're
we
gonna
have to ask
do one levy, or we're gonna do 2 separate ones?
Correct. We have to
Okay.
determine that this evening.
Okay. So the resolution is just declaring the villages, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you wanna talk about how your feelings on that?
I
The recommendation, excuse me, real quick, I'm sorry. The recommendation for the administrator is to put one levy on for fire, which would be 3.5 renewable and then 3.0 increase, correct?
Correct.
All right.
And by the way, I guess I neglected to mention the option of not renewing the police levy and the existing fire levy that expires this year, and doing a new safety services levy, which is always a possibility. We would have to go back and figure that amount. So that is an option. I've not heard anyone speak in favor of that, but a safety services levy that we could get one pot of money to pay for the fire department and sheriff's department is an option.
Okay. So the first thing we need to do is decide how we want to go on about it right now.
Correct.
So let's cross that bridge. You got any comments, Mr. Willis?
I would agree with the recommendation of the administrator. I think that it's, we can't have a thriving fire department unless we get, you know, the additional, money, and that's what, is our goal. And I think that, I'm cautiously optimistic that our community is gonna support our first responders and support this. So, again, I think that we've got to work that out for us, but I'm supportive of having a review.
Okay. All right. You got any other comments?
No, I think one
All right.
is.
And, all right, does someone, one of you want to make a motion?
So if it's one levy, which, is that 05 or 06?
It's 05.
Okay.
It's resolution number 2020-405, but first we're gonna have to pass, we're gonna put one on, is that what this is for?
This resolution is for that.
It's just the one, okay, I read it and I wasn't exactly sure, so. All right, I'll read it into the record. It's a resolution declaring the necessity of levying a tax in excess of the 10 mil limitation for the purpose of providing fire protection. Said levy to constitute a renewal levy of 3.5 mils for a continuing period of time in the entire unincorporated area of Miami Township, and further requesting the county auditor to certify matters in connection therewith pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, section 5705.03.
If I can make one correction on that, because
Yeah.
this came in late from our attorney, it should be for a period of 5 years, not a continuing.
Okay, for a continuing period of time for 5 years.
Yeah.
All right, do I have a motion from the board?
I will make that motion to pass resolution, 2024-05.
I will second.
And Mr. Upson?
Yes.
Mr. Blanton?
Yes.
Mr. Holbrook?
Yes.
All right, that will address the need for the,
Okay.
fire levy, and I will get that wording corrected.
All right, we got through those two things. All right. Now we'll open up discussion for the renewal of the police levy. Do you want to take discussions on that first?
Yes, Mike, do you want to talk about the latest proposal?
Sure. So Mr. Brett and I again met with County Administrator Jeff Alito and Assistant County Administrator Lisa Webb. And again, previously it was presented to us a contract proposal from the Sheriff's Office that essentially was a take it or leave it. I think that we have a good rapport with the County Administrator and his team. Had a good approach to the matter and explained where we were and what we could afford and what we could not. I'm pleased to say that we've made some progress and that they are giving on and lowering the expectations of the cost. I don't think we're ready to announce those specifics right now today because we literally got an update just this afternoon. And so we're going to digest that a little bit more before bringing it to the board for consideration. But it makes me, I think both of us, and if you disagree, certainly chime in. But I think that this could give us the ability to not ask for an increase and to just ask for a renewal, I think which go a long way in what we've just been talking about, and helping the residents swallow the pill of the additional money that we're gonna be asking for the fire department. So it would be more coverage and less money than what was on the table previously. And that's exciting, because public safety is certainly a priority of mine, and I'm sure it is the rest of the board as well. And so I'm, again, stay tuned, but I think we're making progress. Mr. Brett, I don't know if that, do you recommend that we,
I think for right now, we got this, we've been working back and forth on this, between Mr. Addyston and I, pretty heavy on this. I actually sent a text message to Lisa Webb at the assistant administrator at the county level, who was working with us, a text last week and said, I don't want to be like the kid in the back of the car, but are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Because I've got to make a decision on the levy coming up soon. And she promised to get us something before our meeting, and I think it was 4:30 this afternoon.
Right.
Then we got it. So as long as we get a chance to look this over, we can cover our costs for the next few years, at least with what we have, and not have to ask for additional money. And it will reduce the number, give the opportunity to reduce the number of cars in the future that we would have to, in that 10-year plan that they had.
Okay.
And I believe, my initial look might even save the village of Cleves a little bit of money, and the village of North Bend. So I'm hopeful that we just need to review it, but at this time, again, because we just need to get that number from the auditor, my recommendation is that we just, ask for the numbers for the renewal.
Sounds good. Mr. Fulrath, you got any discussions? Okay. Any discussion from the public on renewal of the police levy contract? All right, I have no discussion also. Do I have a motion? This resolution, let me read this into the record. Resolution number 2024-06. It's a resolution declaring the necessity of levying a tax in excess of 10 mil limitation for the purpose of providing police protection. Said levy to constitute a renewal levy of 0.5 mils for 5 years in the entire unincorporated area of Miami Township. Further requesting the county auditor to certify matters in connection therewith pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 5705.03. All right, do we have a motion for the resolution?
I will proudly make a motion that we accept and approve resolution number 2024-06.
I will second.
And Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Mr. Bland?
Yes.
Mr. Volrath?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Brett?
I'm doing Cindy's job, and I'm shooting the right stuff down. All right, next item on our agenda is to set those fees that we're going to request from the villages, so that we can notify them, so they can get to work on their end and see what they can do. So the current recommendation is we ask them for 2 bills, and obviously this will be the formal request of them. So then, as Mr. Bergwald said, if they have questions or want to change things, we can always work with them and do what we can to accommodate them.
Okay. Mr. Wilbur?
No, I think we make the motion to move forward and ask for those 2 bills.
All right, and it's 2 mils even for Addyston, Village of Addyston, Village of Cleves, Village of North Bend. It's 2.0 mils. We're asking for a new on all 3, correct?
Correct.
All right, are you making that motion?
Yes.
I will second.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Mr. Bland?
Yes.
Mr. Volrath?
Yes.
Next on our agenda is the contract with Regional Planning Commission. As you know, our land use plan is up for renewal, and so
discussion from the board? All right, so we have a motion for the approval of the Henry County Regional Planning Commission. It's at $7,143.74.
I make a motion that we approve the contract for services with the Hamilton County Regional Planning Commission. And with that estimate of $7,143.74, I think it's, again, we were able to pass the 5-year point, and I'm excited to start with our owners community update.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.